Hello and welcome to another Adobe Photoshop CS6 lesson where we are going to create an info poster. So this was done particularly for a teacher that had an assignment where they looked at the growth mindset of famous people. So they had to look up four things: background, successes, difficulties, and the growth mindset. So I borrowed the information researched by a young man, and I found a picture, placed the picture on here, masked out the background, put on some brushes, and then opened the Microsoft Word. And here he has it all formatted nicely with some bullets and titles and headings. So we're going to get started. Now, what I've done for you in Photoshop, besides show the original, is I'm going to open up a template, which if you're here at Don Ross, you should do that. If not, you could start this from scratch. It's not that much harder, but it goes a little faster if we open from a template. So at Don Ross, you hit File, Open in Photoshop, and you go to the Student Common, Assignments, Computers, Photoshop, and then we did it under Famous People and Info Poster Template. So you're going to open that. Now, what's very important is right off the bat, we save this in the correct place. So if you try and save it right now, for me, it'll let me save as, but if you try and save as, it will say you do not have the rights to do it because you're trying to save into the school common drive, which only the teachers have the right to save there. So you're going to go File, not just Save, but Save As, and you're going to hit the drop-down arrow, and you're going to go way to the bottom to My Documents, and then you're going to find a place to save it. I'm going to put it in my computers and then my Photoshop folder, and I am going to save it as, so I'm going to re-change the name. I don't want to leave it as template. I'm going to change the name to Babe Ruth, and I'm going to hit save, and OK. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I want to examine this layer palette. And sometimes the layer palette goes missing, it's closed, and it's not here. The easy way to get everything back, if you lose anything from here, is go to Window, Workspace, and Reset Essentials. I'm going to get rid of this adjustment layer for today because I want to see more of my layers and the styles. I want to see all my layers. And I just want to show you how you figure out what is what. This eyeball is the visibility toggle switch. Turn it on and off. Look, see, it's the red main title, and I actually got it called that. On and off, there's the black kind of drop shadow. There's the success title. So the bottom left down here, success title when I turn it on and off. So it's really important you understand layers, and this is the most complicated thing by far, is that these things are stacked in layers. And for you to edit any of these parts, you must be on the correct layer. So difficulties title, there's the difficulties title. So you can move it if I want. If I click on the difficulties title, I can move it around now. But if I want to move the background, I can't. It moves the difficulties title. Why is that? Because I'm on the difficulties title layer. So make sure you understand layers. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the top one. I'm going to go to Google Chrome, and I'm going to find a picture of Babe Ruth. You need to find your picture of anyone else. I'm going to start with Google Chrome. You can use Internet Explorer, any web browser, doesn't really matter. And me, I'm going to click on Images, and I'm going to say Babe Ruth. And then I'm going to find the picture I want. So this is a really nice big picture. And I'm going to go View Image. You cannot save, you absolutely cannot save the original little thumbnail or it'll be tiny. So you must save this big, big picture. So I'm going to go right click, Save Image As, and you should save this in the same place. Now, whenever you save, don't click on this Documents button, because it doesn't always show what's in there. Click on the very bottom where it has your username. Mine says My Documents because I'm a teacher, but yours will be different. It'll have your username right there. Then I said I put it in Computers, and I put it in Photoshop, and I called it Babe Ruth. And anyways, I'm going to save this Babe Ruth. Save. Then I'm going to go back to my Photoshop, and now I should be able to, making sure again I'm clicked on the top layer. It's not that big of a deal if you forget that, because we can always move layers later. I'm going to hit File, Place. Make sure I'm in My Documents, Computers, Photoshop, and I'm looking for Babe Ruth 4. There, that is a pretty big picture. I'm going to hold the Shift key down, resize it to make it a little smaller. That looks about the right size. And then I'm going to hit Enter. Now, let's examine our layers. You can see that's a picture. So now I need to get rid of this background, and we're going to get rid of it using a mask. Now, a mask paints with black, and black conceals, white reveals. So how do you do this? You click, make sure you're on the Babe Ruth picture, or whoever you're doing. Add down here a layer mask. Then I take a paintbrush, and I paint with black. This is the switcher tool, which can allow you to choose the color. And I paint with black, and it makes it disappear. Now, this would be really irritating to do this slowly like this. So I am going to move to here, and I can change the size of the brush. And I would suggest that your hardness is somewhere around 70%. And I'm going to make it really big. And then I'm just going to paint until it's all gone. Now, it does get a bit challenging as you get closer to them, and there are other techniques. So some of you that have more experience, because you're in my class or you've done this at home before, may tell me that you know there's faster ways to do this. There is, but one of the things you need to understand when you first do a mask is how they work. Black conceals. Look over here in the mask. Now, what's the biggest mistake people make? They click on there and they start trying to paint on the picture and it won't let them. You need to be on the mask, not on the picture. And you can see by that line that the mask is selected. Now, it gets hard to work when it's small like this, so I'm going to hit Control+, which zooms in. You can also zoom in with this tool, the zoom tool. Then I'm going to make my brush smaller, which you can make it smaller here, or you can, beside the P key on your keyboard, you can hit the bracket, the square bracket, and it'll make it smaller. And so the left square bracket makes it smaller, the right square bracket makes it bigger. So I'm going to make it a little smaller, and I'm going to zoom around. And I won't make you watch me do the whole thing, and I'll just show you the finished version here. All right, so I'm almost done. I'm just doing a few last little touch-ups, looking for anything that I'm missing. I'm going to use that bracket tool beside the P key, or bracket key, to make it a little bit smaller. Clean up this stuff. And I'll switch to white because it's missing some here, and I'll paint that back in. So anytime you paint too much, for example, I paint too much with black, I accidentally make a mistake, you can just switch, paint it back in with white, because white reveals. So now I'm going to zoom out again using Control-, and I'll resize them if I have to. The way you can resize them is just hit Control-T. So Control-T allows you into the free transform, and I'll hold the Shift key so it maintains its aspect ratio, and I'll move them over. And there you have it. Now, let's get, oh, sorry, you don't have it here. It won't let you do anything at this point because you're still in the free transform mode. So you have to enter to do that. Now, this is where you want to have your Microsoft Word open. And so I already have the background title. So I'm going to copy all the background information. And I can do a number of things. I can go right click and copy, or I can go Control C. Now I'm a keyboard shortcut guy, so I'm just going to go Control C. Then I'm going to go back onto my taskbar, open up Photoshop, and then I'm going to click here. Paste your text from your MS Word here. But remember, you need to be on the correct one. So I'm going to click not on the background title. On the background, I'm going to double check by turning the visibility on and off and correct it's right. I'm going to take the T tool. I'm going to click once to get in it. Then I'm going to go Control A to select it all. That's the easiest. Control A to select it all. And then Control V to paste your work. Now, from here, I'm going to highlight everything. I can change the size of the font. Right now I got it at 18. And I'm going to make my font. And you can choose your font you want. I'm going to choose Arial. And I'm going to make it left aligned. And then I'm going to hit backspace a few times because I got a few spaces there. Oops, one too many. And then I'm going to bring this down again just to make sure I fit everything in, because some text boxes are bigger than the other. And then enter. Done. Or sorry, I don't need to hit enter. I just hit the black arrow tool to get off that. Then I go back to Microsoft Word, and I'm going to find the difficulties. So these are the difficulties that he had. And I'm going to go Control C to copy. Go back on the blue PS. I got to find the difficulties right here. I'll double check with the eyeball to make sure it's correct. It is. I click on the T tool. Click once in it. And then you can go Control A to select everything, and then Control V to paste all your information. And you can see I don't need as much room on that one, so I'll close it up a bit. And then I've got to check this one under difficulties because I'm pretty sure I forgot to change that to Arial. And I'll go Control A again to select it all. And see, I left it on Myriad Pro. Now, do you have to use the same font as me? You do not. Now, there's all my text. So I am most of the way done, and now I'm just going to make it fun. So I'm going to start off with going to the full title red, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to put my caps lock on for my title, and I'm going to type Babe Ruth. I don't think I typed that well. And then I'm going to turn that one off, and I'm going to click on this one, double checking to make sure I got it right. Highlight that, and I'm going to type Babe Ruth, and there. Now, right now I made this red. How do I change the colors? There's a couple ways you can change the colors. I can just double click on the top color, and then pick anything I want and say OK, and it'll change. I can also go here, to my swatches, and go back to my normal swatches. I can choose from my swatches. I can also choose from my color wheel. I can click along here all I want. I'm just going to go Control Z. Put it back to what it was. Now, you'll notice that my bottom Babe Ruth is just behind it a little. All right. So it's looking pretty good. I'm going to move all the way down here to brushes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a brush that is the exact same color as my text. You don't have to, but you want to choose something that works well with the color. And again, I'm on my brushes layer. Then I'm going to take a paintbrush and I'm going to hit the drop down arrow on the style of the paintbrush, and I'm going to go to this gear, and I am going to use, you can try different brushes in here, but what I'm going to do is use the sunburst brush. And OK adds it onto the list, append adds it onto the end of the list, OK just replaces it. So I'm going to choose that one, and I'm going to choose this one. And I'm going to turn my caps lock off so that I can see what my brush looks like. And I'm going to click. Now, why does it go behind Babe Ruth? It's because the layer is sitting underneath the picture of Babe Ruth. There you have it. Now, the only problem with this is I'm going to grab my mover tool so you can read, have a little more difficulty reading this. And especially if you imagine if you did it in blue, it would be even harder. So why don't I just go Control Z and I'll choose a nice dark blue and I'll do it in that one. So I'll choose my paintbrush and I'll do it in there. So now you can see it's really not great for the writing. So this is where I'm going to go to my text box background. And I'm going to click on my text box background and I'm going to grab a rectangular marquee tool. And I'm going to go right here and I'm going to try and give the same amount of space around the text on all sides. Then I'm going to hold the Shift key and I'm going to do it again here for this one. And then the Shift key again. And Shift key again. And then you're going to choose the color to give it as a background. So I'm going to go Edit, Fill, and you can choose either the foreground or the background. This is the foreground, that's the background, and you can set those ahead of time, or you can just say black or white. I'm going to choose white, and I go OK, and then select, deselect. Again, Control S to finish what you've done, and there's my second version of Babe Ruth. I actually like the other one better with the red, I think. But it's your call. There are other things that you can do to make it even fancier. You could say, choose this title. Actually, I'm going to choose one of the titles, which I am on the success title. So I'll move it away so I can see it. And then you could try bevel and emboss. You could try stroke around it. And if you made a stroke, you can change the color. You can decrease the stroke. You could change it to maybe red again if you wanted. Say OK, see how it puts a red line around it. Or you could do a blue line around it if you wanted. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do in here, and these are called layer styles. Now, what you can do, if I say I just want a stroke, well, maybe I'll do a stroke and a drop shadow. And if I just wanted those two, I'd say OK, but then it doesn't make sense that it's not on that one as well, so then I just go right click, copy layer style, and right click, paste layer style, and right click, paste layer style, and on the background title, right click, paste layer style. So I'm actually going to go Control Alt Z a bunch of times because I actually don't like it as much, but those are more fun things you can do with Adobe Photoshop CS6 when creating an info poster. Thanks for watching.